closing percentage came up a lot in the questions that got submitted for you.
Yeah, that's why I get so daggum upset when they don't buy. I'm like, what are you talking about? The reason Mike Dawood has sold 250 plus blue shears is because of sheer volume of customers in his database. I am not anti-average order. But if someone wants to ask me what is more important, my opinion is that order count is more important. Once you've got them on the list, you can sell them the rest of the stuff anyway because you got all their contact info. You're going to see them again. I'm good enough at marketing. I'm going to get them in front of me again at some point, whether it's a service event, a fair, or a military base. So now they're on the list. Now they have a relationship with me. They've paid me once, and it's a proven fact that people paying you a second time is easier.
Thanks for joining us on the CSP Hot Hands 60 Minutes of Fire podcast. My name's Brett Wiggins, and I get to serve as your host. So what is a CSP? CSP is a Cutco sales professional. There are a lot of them out there, and they've all got a different answer to the question, why do you sell so much? Our mission is to find out the answer to that question from as many of them as possible. These next 60 minutes are designed for Cutco sales reps who desire to learn from our best in the field. So we interview top sales professionals from around the country with questions provided by their peers to make all that happen. 60 minutes of fire means we get straight to the point. Let's do it.
Welcome. CSP Hot Hands, 60 Minutes of Fire, episode number 12. She's excited. It wasn't even staged. She has marketing in the back of her car, ready to go.
Ready to go. Ready to market the Cutco Blue.
So excited for our guest today. She is an absolute machine in between doctor's appointments as she is expecting first child in a month, right? 1 month away. We're close to the finish line here. From our Dallas pilot office and Texoma division, Chelsea Rodriguez. Anytime Chelsea references a resource that's available to us, she's going to share it with me after. So we'll make it available to you guys in our resource folder. Don't feel the need, Chelsea, to go into any major detail on anything that you share. If you have a template or script or anything like that, we'll share it with them afterwards, but also don't feel the pressure to share any of that. Want to directly thank those of you who submitted questions for this episode. It would not be very fire without your help. It'd be more like going to Denny's at 2 a.m. after a night out with your friends. Not the best meal, but good enough. This is going to be way better than that. Chelsea McDougall, Olia Greathouse, Shayla Boker, John Sasick, Benji Lehman. Thank you for submitting questions. Chelsea, are you ready to jam?
Yeah, I love all those people.
Hey, it's going to bring a smile to their face. I like that. How long have you been selling Cutco, Chelsea?
I started, just celebrated actually my 15-year anniversary, February 2nd, 2009. Sold my first knife.
Oh, that's so fun.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Tuscaloosa.
Roll Tide.
I was just going to ask. Okay, she's an Alabama fan. Roll Tide. We'll see what happens post Nick Saban era.
I've started smiling again this week. I was in a deep state of mourning.
Well, you guys are used to winning very late in the year. I understand. I get it.
We're still going to be used to winning, Brett.
Yeah.
Just because we don't have Saban doesn't mean we're not going to be used to winning.
I love it. What does your yearly sales breakdown typically look like? Like what percent's at the booth? What do we got for gifting? What's all that look like?
It's evolved over the years. I mean, my first 3 years with Cutco was strictly in home. I sold my first 200K, roughly. I think it was like 190, and it was all in-home people I knew or referrals or service calls. So that's kind of a cool fact. My first 200K was not even, I didn't step foot in a booth.
Wow.
I didn't even really train for events or do events till after my first 200K in sales.
That is not that's a unique route. And back then events weren't what they are today, right? Like I feel
right. Yeah.
Rep hits 10, 20K and we're like, all right, let's get you behind the booth and get you cut your teeth. What did you selling $200,000 with a Cutco in home before you ever got behind the booth? Do you view that as that was actually a big advantage once you did get behind the booth?
Well, it really was, in hindsight, it was intentional because I knew I was going the management route early on.
Yep.
And my thought process was always in management because, I'm not in management anymore. I did that for like 2.5 years. But I was like, I'm sitting here having a 10K PC with this like young baby rep, and I want to be someone who's done it. Like, I want to be someone that they can look to and be like, oh, she's had multiple 10K pushes. Oh, she knows how many calls that you have to make to hit the goal that you have. And so that was why I would sell so that I could teach. It really wasn't anything about just being like a sales rep and I wanted to sell. It was just working around
I
college
love
and
the way that
all
you
that.
thought about preparing for management, though.
Yeah, I was
Awesome.
good at management. I
Yeah,
enjoyed management. I'm grateful that I took those 2 years to dive into that and to
yeah.
really give it like my best. And I had some success with that. And I would say that I was a good manager. I don't think that I ever cracked that egg on being a great manager. And it was only because like joyful work, right? I
Yep.
love having fun in the booth. If anybody ever comes and field trains with me, they'll hear the things I say to customers. I'm just an absolute nut. My husband will shake his head and be like, "You did not just say that." I'm like, "I did." And then they bought. So like
One of
I
the
say some
phrases that
really
will get
random
in,
stuff. And
one
I
of
have a
the
lot of
phrases
fun.
that
And I
will,
just wasn't that joyful in management. I
yeah.
found more joy in my work,
Yeah.
just selling. So
One of the phrases that we'll get into today, I think the term that got used when describing your approach at the booth was bold wit and charm. So we'll get there.
okay,
But
okay.
playing into it. So what other titles in life do you have? Obviously, getting ready to be a mom. What else? A wife, sister, anything like
Crazy. This belly just keeps getting bigger. I don't understand.
that? I love
I have
it.
never been this big in my life. This shirt's like oversized, but like still, it's like it's all right here. All right here. Get it. Hopefully this goes away.
That's so
Anyway,
great.
um,
And you and Roger just went on Baby Moon in Jamaica in January.
yeah,
Awesome. Very,
did.
very good. That's great. What's the last fun thing you did besides slinging blades? Would it be the trip to Jamaica or anything else recently?
We've been having baby showers. So I drove all the way to Alabama. I had an awesome little women's baby shower. We've got a co-ed baby shower this week that
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
really excited about. This is not a call to like promote drinking, but I love a good gender reveal slash baby shower where wine and beer are involved. I think that's fun and you
Heck
get high
yeah.
attendance rates. So we're gonna do that this Thursday. That's really fun. I do a lot of things with friends. I go walking a lot with a couple of girlfriends of mine in Dallas. I don't run much anymore. It's uncomfortable. I like being outside. Anything that I can do outside, nature fuels me. I could literally just go outside for a 20-minute walk and it completely changes my day.
People
So I
definitely
enjoy that.
underestimate the go outside, see the sun, get some fresh air, even if it's in between calls or even when you're on a call for 10, 15 minutes. Huge, right?
Yeah, and this was not a pregnant thing. Roger and I've always loved food experiences. Like we love trying new restaurants and like just eating. I know you can't really tell by looking at him and looking at me maybe when I'm not pregnant, but I'm really enjoying the food right now, like
Yeah.
more than ever. So having a lot of fun with trying new restaurants and new things like that.
Dude,
So
the license to eat whatever you want right now has got to be pretty awesome.
what baby wants, baby gets. I went to church yesterday and the donut, the jelly filled donut was eyeing me. And I went up there and I grabbed the tongs and I grabbed it. I put it on a napkin with my coffee and I turned and the pastor's son was just like staring at me. And I went, "Don't judge me. That's not Christian
You
like."
should have turned around and taken a second one. Okay, just take.
I wanted to, but no, one donut. No. So I'm enjoying experiences like that, going to nice dinners with friends. A couple of our friends have just gotten married. It's been a different phase of life the last, I guess, 3 to 6 months with this whole idea and concept of like family sinking in. And then for the
Yeah,
Super Bowl last week, what we did for fun, usually we'll go to like a friend's house, like a raging party, and
yeah.
I'll drink a ton of wine and whatever. But it was like no alcohol. We just had like LaCroix and my husband fired up the Traeger. We just got a Traeger. Last year it's like his prized possession now. He's like Lord of the Flame or whatever, Lord of the Smoke. And it was just his parents, his brother, and his sister. So it was like his family and me. So it was like 5 or 6 of us, and we're just piled up on the couch in sweatpants and like eating food that he put on the Traeger and watching the Super Bowl. It was like a quiet Super Bowl at home. So what do I do for fun? I hang out with Roger's family a lot. They're actually really, really dope.
That's
They're
awesome.
really, really cool, and we're grateful to have them only 10 minutes up the road.
I am
So
very thankful for having awesome in-laws because there are some horror stories from friends of mine, which I'm sure you have them too, of like you can get unlucky. But when it's a great family you connected with, it's pretty special. And it reminded me of what I viewed as fun being a night out, 10 years ago when my wife and I first got married to now that we have 5 kids. It's two very different experiences, both equally awesome though.
yeah,
Best year ever for CPO, Chelsea. When was it and how much?
that was 2022. Did 1,017,000.
You're part of the $1 million club too. We just had Bert on a couple episodes ago, and he just hit it for the first time. It's a big deal,
Yeah.
man. It's a
It's a
freaking
big
big
deal. I
deal.
remember going to Germany in November 2022, and Bert and I were like attached at the hip for 2 weeks. We worked two different events together, and he got to like watch me mid-November go after what he was doing just 1 year later this year. And it was just kind of really surreal being able to like step out of that
Yep.
and like watch a really good friend go after that too. Cause I've been there and I've done it, and it's not easy. And you put so much effort and passion and energy into it, and it's emotional. You get attached to your goals so heavily, and it's not easy. It's not
You're
easy.
speaking so much of the same language he used when describing going after it too. I'm sure while all those journeys to a million can look differently within the business, mentally they're probably all very, very similar.
Yeah.
You spoke at Net last year, and I got to go for the first time. So much fun, so great. I came back and basically told every single one of our DVMs and our RM, like, hey, we need to change everything we do about running conferences based on my experience at Net. So here's my list of 1,000 things. But something that stuck out to me right away was how confident you are. And Chelsea McDougall pointed that out, that you're kind of known for that, like I said, bold wit and charm at the booth. Were you always that confident? Did you build up to that? Did you learn that? Does that come from somewhere? Where is that?
I'm an identical twin.
Oh
So
no way!
I think
We have 3-month-old identical twins at home right now, girls.
oh, that's all. I'm an identical twin.
Yeah.
For those of you that are probably thinking, oh, do y'all look alike? I just said identical, and we're girls, so that means they look the same. She doesn't have bangs right now, but she is a mom of two, and we're very similar in a lot of ways, but we're also very different. And so I think a lot of it's rooted in my childhood. Like, if we all get honest with ourselves, like who we are as adults, the good, the bad, and the ugly, like all of it is somewhere rooted in our childhood, something that molded us and shaped us. And I think one of the reasons that I have a level of confidence in what I do is the practice that I've put in. Like, you watch a Curtis JQ's in the booth, and the reason he is lights out so good is because he's had more interactions. He just spends more days in the booth, and he sells more because he has done this longer and has more interactions, right? So the confidence comes from that. So I think part of it's the practice, but a lot of it is rooted in my childhood. My twin and I were both like straight A students, and we were friendly competitive, is what we would call it. And I think my parents did a really good job of making sure we had our own independence, even though we were great together. They wanted us to understand that we are our own person.
Yeah.
And I think that friendly comparison, which we do a little bit of in the vector world today, right? Like, we do a lot of that. We're always like looking at the person in the booth next to us, or the manager at the office down the street. And we're like, why are they getting these results and I'm getting these results? And we like compare ourselves, right? And I know that comparison's the thief of joy, but I do think that a lot of my confidence came from us genuinely cheering each other on as kids. She cheered, I was dancer. She played the piano, I played softball. Like, we had our own lives, but we were like each other's biggest support. And I think I gained a lot of confidence from having someone in my corner. So if you want to like spin that, in a way for your team to understand, like, one of the ways you can build confidence is make sure that your sphere is supporting you. And I'm gonna tell you right now, there were days people that you named earlier came out and watched me sell in the booth at the state fair last year. And I'm just like, what the frick? Like, what is in the water? Why did they not buy anything? I'm so confused. If they're not buying from me, they're not buying from anybody. If I have a bad day, I call my twin.
Mm.
And she just literally, I'll say to her, I'll be like, everyone in the booth had like a 10K day and I sold 2 grand. What's wrong with me? And she goes, seriously? You're literally one of the greatest people that's ever stepped foot in that company. Get over yourself. Have some humility and realize that it's just today. And I'm just like, I needed that. Like I think a lot of the confidence comes from like your sphere, right?
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, for sure. So, I've heard the quote as well, comparison is the thief of joy, but the way you phrase it of it being friendly competition, of it actually being a way when it's with trusted people who have your best interest in mind, it
Yeah.
can actually be a really, really big positive. So for you, if you had a bad interaction during a shift, would you say your confidence can come back from that sphere that doesn't hurt it for the rest of that day? Is there any way you reset in the middle of a shift?
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not really the person, and maybe this is a fault, but this is just my thing. I don't step out of the booth and walk around
Mm,
and think about my life and think about my results because
mm,
I'm not going to change my results by walking around in the show
mm.
for 5 to 10 minutes. If I didn't sell those last 3 customers, I have some inner work that maybe emotionally, like we talked a lot about at net meeting, like you got to check your emotions at the door. I'm a woman. Okay. Let me speak to women here.
Yeah.
We're emotional. And I'm worse. I'm hormonal right now, which is it's 10x. So I think it's honoring to just to understand, okay, this happened. Why did this happen? And then the minute another customer walks up, that interaction doesn't exist anymore.
Mm.
To just give it that level of attention. So for me, I don't call my sister middle of the shift and go, crap's hit the fan. I need you now, blah, blah, blah. If I end up having a bad day, I call her and I've cried before. If I have a great day, I call her and go, hell yeah, I broke a record. Like one of my worst days at the Oklahoma State Fair last year, I had like $1,000 day on a Friday. And I was like, what is happening? And then the Oklahoma State Fair is a lot smaller than Texas. Okay. And I call her and I'm like, I've forgotten how to sell cacao. And she goes, no, you haven't. No, you haven't. You're fine. You just had a bad day. And she like talks me through it. She builds that confidence back up. And then the next day, I had my best day I've ever had in the history of my career at the Oklahoma State Fair at 11K day. So it's like we just you have to do what works for you. And I know what works for me is having that person in my corner that I trust.
Yep.
And I like it being someone that's not in the business.
100%. Yeah.
That's not to say that we don't have colleagues that get us, understand us, can give us feedback and that we know and we trust. But it's almost like sometimes they're too close for comfort and you just want to vent and you want to talk to somebody that maybe doesn't fully get it. You just want to get it.
100%.
You just want to get it out,
And it's like when you're venting to people too close to the situation, they have solutions in mind, and sometimes we don't need a solution. We just need somebody to be honest with us or listen
Like
or
the nail in the head girl, right?
whatever.
I just want you to listen to my feelings. And he goes, well, I know why you feel bad. And she's like, you're not listening. He goes, but
One of the best commercials of all time.
yeah.
What I'm realizing too, in the more of these conversations I have, Chelsea, is that it's not that it's like, oh, the people that are the best in this business, it's not that they go find a solution or they improve one of their shortcomings. You're very self-aware of who you are. You're very self-aware of like how you react to certain things. And it's like for you, you said you're very emotional. It's like that about yourself. So it's like I'm not gonna try to change who I am. I'm just gonna be aware of that. And I'm not gonna let it affect my next interaction. That being said, you have closing percentage came up a lot in the questions that got submitted for you.
Yeah, that's why I get so daggum upset when they don't buy. I'm like, what are you talking about? What am I missing here?
Why do you think your closing percentage is, and this is very open-ended, but why do you think your closing percentage is so high? What do you think goes into that?
Just because I'm committed to it. I'm committed to it. Sean Henry, I work with him a lot, and he literally will raise his eyebrows and goes, God, you care about closing percentage way too much. And I'm like, and you don't care about it enough. The reason Mike Dawood sells what he does, the reason Mike Dawood has sold 250 plus blue shears is because of sheer volume of customers in his database. Like that's it. Like I love average order. Love it. Think it's great. I've watched mine raise just very slowly over the last 15 years, just very organically.
Yeah.
I love selling packages. I love selling package deals. I love selling kitchens. I am not anti average order. But if someone wants to ask me what is more important, my opinion is that order count is more important. And the reason I think that is because once you've got them on the list, you can sell them the rest of the stuff anyway because you got all their contact info. You're going to see them again. I'm good enough at marketing. I'm going to get them in front of me again at some point, whether it's a service event, a fair, or a military base. So for me, the closing percentage thing, I track it. Like I think about it a lot. Like I worked a little small military base here in Fort Worth, in the Dallas area the last 4 days. And I was only there for like 3.5 days. I started kind of late on Thursday and Sunday's only like 4 hours. So I mean, it's like closer to like 3 days, like a typical home show.
Yeah.
Sold 8+ grand in 3.5 days. And my closing percentage is 92%.
Mm.
Meaning, okay, like I track how many people I try to really go through like the sales cycle with and if they bought something or not. I don't care if it's one piece or it's a whole set or we have to customize it or drop down to a 5 piece or we get them back up to an ultimate. It's like I sell all of those things, but for me that's just so important because now they're on the list. Now they have a relationship with me. They've paid me once and it's a proven fact that people paying you a second time is easier.
Mm. I
Because
think
the relationship's already there.
speaks to two things. One, if you're committed long term in our business, the length of your customer list really is your biggest thing to leverage, right? And you clearly are. And then two, I think that everybody's designed differently. Like some like that, like there's more than one way to get to a million as an example.
Yeah.
Average order might be one person. For one person, it's like, dude, I'm just all about making sure I max out each opportunity with a sale. And I think people get really comfortable with what are they designed to do naturally. And it sounds like for you, you just really lean into that hard.
I want more friends. I'm a social butterfly. The more people that are on the list, the better. And I even say that to customers. They've told me no. They haven't told me no. See, that's why the closing percentage is high, Brett, because there's an easy way to get out of the web. And I'll even get to the point where I can see them squirming and I acknowledge it. And I just go, Suzanne, you're squirming. Like you're in the web. You're in the thick of it. Let's
This
just
is
give this
happening.
a
Do we want to
tea.
do it the easy way or the hard way? I'm here.
Like, here's the reality, Suzanne. I want you to buy this. You walked up to me. Like, you walked up to this booth and went, oh, Coco. Like, I'm here to help you. So you tell me what you want, and I will do my best to get you a great deal on it. That's it. That's it. And
What's your experience with customers in that
she just like relaxes.
Yeah, right?
I'm like, if you want to get out of the web, there's 2 ways to do it, Suzanne. Just say no or buy something. Like, that's it. I was like, don't tell me you got to talk to your husband. And I tell them, like, I tell them how to get out of the web. And then what do? Like, I basically tell them the key is don't give me another smokescreen objection. And then they still go, I'm still going to have to talk to my husband. And I'm like, there you go again, Suzanne. You're squirming in the web. Like, I'm trying to help you here. You don't have to buy this. Just say, no, I'm not interested. Well, I am interested. Okay. You're probably not going to be back tomorrow. So what do you really want? Does your husband really care that much? Like, have you not ever gone shopping at Target and spent more than you expected and he still didn't divorce you? Like, we're here today. We're not here tomorrow. What do you want? It's like the movie from The Notebook. What do you want? What do you want, Suzanne?
Your extreme authenticity, I feel like too, just that's who you are.
Yeah.
I remember being a newer manager and learning how to run the interview from one person or learning how to run training. And I felt myself trying to be them when I ran the interview, I ran training. And that's exhausting. That's
It
exhausting.
doesn't really feel good. Like, it doesn't
No, it doesn't feel good. I have to think before I talk. Like for you, it's just like, no, I'm me and this is how I handle things. And this is, I think there's a lot of truth in Like, yeah, learn the best practices from everybody, learn the ingredients, but then use your own seasoning, man. Like, don't go be you for sure. I've been
Yeah.
working on authenticity with one of our new CSPs at the booth, and she was so worried about, well, I don't feel like I've built enough rapport with this person to say blank. I go, then just say that. Hey, Tammy, I'll be honest, I don't feel close enough to you to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway because I feel like it's what I need to say. And just being totally honest with your customer. In your experience, they almost like laugh about it, like, hi, you're right. Like, that's where we're at.
Thank you for acknowledging that I'm having hot sweats over here, freaking out for something that I don't even really need to freak out that bad about.
Yeah.
Like, I told a customer, I'm not even kidding. I told a customer on Saturday.
Working with Trent Booth and the Veritas Leadership Group over the last decade has unlocked things within me that I never knew existed until they were coached out of me. If you're listening and you feel stuck or like you have another gear that you're having a hard time getting to, Trent's offering a free intro call to any of our listeners. I love Veritas because it's an amazing combo of mentoring and coaching. I get what I need when I need it most. It's also a flat monthly rate, which is awesome for anyone looking to give it a shot with no contract and no long-term commitment. Schedule a call with Trent today by going to linktree/CSP60. That's linktr.ee/CSP60. That's linktree/CSP60 with a dot before the two
Customer on
E's.
Saturday, she was freaking out. We were looking at 5 knives and she tried to beep at me like 3 times. And I literally just looked at her and I said, Maria, it's knives. This is not that serious. Like,
When you're not afraid for them to walk away, when you're not afraid,
do you
yeah,
want them? Do you want them? Are you interested? Would you use them if you had it? Like, you just be honest with me. Be honest with yourself. I'll help you if you honestly want them. But if you don't honestly want them, I'm gonna let you go. Like, because I don't want you to be uncomfortable. That's not my goal. And so they just like when you acknowledge it and you just like honor it and you stamp it and you put it out there, it's like because they're already thinking it. But again, this goes back to that confidence, right? I've had so many interactions that it's like I recognize the squirm. I recognize when they're getting uncomfortable. I recognize when I need to redirect and honor them and acknowledge it and say, "Hey, there's an elephant right there in the room. Like, let's talk about it." It just feels so much more authentic
yeah,
and like a natural way to sell. I don't really want my customers to feel like I'm selling them. I want it to be a conversation, you know?
yeah, you're inviting them. Hey, I understand this is what you want, I'm here to help you get it. If you've changed your mind and you don't want it anymore, that's fine. Like, all good, you can leave. Your ability to not be afraid for that to happen, I think, is huge. And you've talked a lot about interactions and order count, and I'm assuming with the events you're running, there are times where the booth does get really, really busy, and you've
Yeah.
got multiple customers engaged in different spots. How, like, when you're so focused on, your closing percentage, how do you best handle a busy booth so you can still max out each opportunity, not miss anybody? What's the mindset there?
I had it happen yesterday. I had 2 people holding knives that needed sharpening. They were there for sharpening. And I was trying to pitch this young couple on a flatware chest, and then this older couple saw my marketing sign. So I've got 4 different households standing in front of my booth, and I'm the only person there. So it's a very slow base. And I just acknowledge it and I make a joke and I go, wait a second. Did all of you guys just like meet in the parking lot at 2 o'clock and go, now? Like, I sat here for 2 hours, folks, and I didn't talk to anybody. And now you're all 4 here at the same time. I said, good news is there's enough Cutco and enough of me to go around to everyone. I said, you 2 ladies, y'all are back for sharpening, right? And they go, yeah. And I go, let me take your knives from you. Do you need to grab anything in the store? Why don't you go shopping? And I'm going to answer these other people's questions. I grab their knives, I put them down, they go shopping. So I got rid of, they're going to come back to get their knives. I have collateral. Thank you. So that's how I handle that. And then I've got 2 people and I just ask questions. I just ask discovery questions, qualifying questions like, hey, are you familiar with Cutco? What are you interested in? Is there something exactly you're looking for? I'm finding out who's more qualified. And I ended up choosing the young couple. And I did the flatware pitch, and that was actually one of my no sales yesterday. So I kind of was like, oh shoot, I chose wrong. But
Yep.
you can't beat yourself up for that. I didn't know they were 7 weeks pregnant. and just bought a $3,000 couch till we got to the end, of the flatware pitch. And I stayed in the flatware pitch for 30 minutes, dropped all the way down to a 6 place setting. And they were this close. They looked at each other and she goes, I want it. She goes, we can afford that. But the husband just would not pull the trigger. And I've got them there together. So I finally just let him off the hook. I just finally said, hey, if you don't want to spend, $200 a month, you don't have to. Like, this is just flatware. You've got a baby on the way. I've got a baby. Like, I understand there's priorities. Do you want it? And he goes, I just don't want it bad enough. And I said, that's fair, bro. I appreciate your honesty. I let him go. And the little old couple had circled back because I had let them go, but they had been given Cutco by a realtor that I sold Cutco to. They had one knife, and that realtor client was my client, and they had no idea that she spent $150 on that knife. So they like qualified themselves out. So it's like I couldn't even beat myself up anymore. Like I chose the wrong customer because like this customer had no idea Cutco was even $150 a blade.
Oh, I love that.
And they were like, oh, we had no idea that they gave us such a nice gift. And I'm like, well, if you'd ever consider, and if you buy here at the base, I can get you anywhere from 10 to 20% in the ballpark of, package discounts if you'd be open to it. And they're like, we're just not going to spend that kind of money on knives. And I'm like, hey, no problem. Have a great day. Let them go.
Point about not beating yourself up. It wasn't based on the result. It was based on your process. Your process was good. You qualified. You asked more.
That process gets me a 92% closing percentage. So I can't be mad that that one crazy 4 families at the booth that I could potentially sell to turned into 0 sales. I can't be upset about that because the process has proven that it works over and over again. Yesterday I got busy and it just didn't work. And then the very next customer, I was free to help, sold a 5-piece. Thank you. 450 CPO. Let's go. We're back in it. So it's just
such a healthy mindset, man. Such a healthy mindset. And even though with the couple that had the baby on the way and they decided not to get it, like you had to feel awesome giving them permission to walk away if they needed to. And sometimes that plays into your 90%.
And they felt good. Like you could just see them relax.
Yeah.
I don't think the wife, if she had been there by herself, would have bought without her husband. Her husband's the breadwinner. You could tell they're both Marines, recruiters, actually, salespeople. So, so it's just, I went through the entire process of dropping down, trying to get them on the list, even so much so that I was like, hey, that ice cream scoop I was going to give you for free for doing your flatware package today? If you really wanted the ice cream scoop, it's only this much. That would still get you on my list, and I'm allowed to text you, market to you, call you, let you know when we're back here at the base. Would you like to at least do that to get on the list? And he goes, no, we're just going to come back another time, get the flatware. I'm like, hey, no problem. I've checked off all of my boxes. So it's like, I think that's where it comes from for me. I call it the dance. It's like the dance of like finding something that fits their budget or their need or gets them on the list, because then they get my text messages and they get my emails and I can invite them to the fair. And when I
back into your idea of, I want to add as many orders to my customer list as I can.
Yeah.
Love it. And I think you can leave a situation like that and feel really great versus, I know as a new salesperson where I was learning new techniques or whatever, there were moments I made a sale, but felt gross about it because of the way I went about it. I'd rather have a great feeling and say, I handled that great. The process was awesome, but I didn't make a sale and that's okay. I can feel really good about how I handled it. I want to switch gears to layers of your business. I know it's evolved over time. Didn't start that way. Like you said, first 200 grand in business, all residential. What was your evolution like with those layers? What did you add first? What was second?
So it was residential first. I mentioned that earlier. First 200K, first 3 years. It was all in-home demos, referrals, service calls, all of that. Then I added events. So I would work like small little fairs, small home and garden shows, boat shows, all of the events, right? And that was in Memphis. Tennessee. I lived there for 3 years. So that was like 2011 to 2014. And I ended up getting out of management. I realized that I was kind of being pulled towards the sales factor and that was going to free up some bandwidth. And I bought my realtor sample kit in 2011, actually, while I was in management. but then it went under my bed and it was like the scary monster under my bed. And it was like new program. I didn't know anything about it. I was so nervous. I was like, I don't want to suck at this. I'm good at all these other things. I'm just going to do what I know. And 7 months goes by and Tony Carlson's like, so are you going to sell a spreader or what? Like, I finally watched the videos. I did some of the training. One of the biggest keys I did in 2012 spring is I flew to Houston. I paid for a flight round trip and I stayed at Matt and Leanne Storm's house.
Mm.
At the time, she was pregnant with her second, already had one kid, and her and Matt kind of did like CGC events, like part-time. They weren't doing it full-time. She maybe spent 10 to 20 hours a week on realtor program, nothing crazy, because she was focused on being a mom. And then I'll never forget, like if anyone's considering getting into the realtor program, but like I'll never forget like my whole layers in my business. It's always like, I feel productive. I feel worthy. I feel busy. I feel worthy. Schedule is full. I feel worthy. And I remember it being 2 o'clock in the afternoon and we came back from like a luncheon, like a 20 agent realtor luncheon, and he had this stack of cards. And then he just put his pajamas on and started watching cartoons with his daughter, McKenna. And I go, well, now what? Don't we call them? Like, don't we make phone calls? And he goes, they're all in class till 4. Those realtors aren't going to answer my texts and my phone calls. They're focused on getting their CE credits. We're going to make phone calls from 4 to 5. And I was like, oh, okay. I could do this and be a mom. This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah. Like he's like, we're not going to stress about it. They're going to get called and we're going to sell some knives, but we're going to do it when they're out of class. And so I added realtor program in 2012. I did my first events that summer. I think I sold like 30, 40 grand my first 6 months on realtor program. I was so nervous, so scared, but then I was hooked. I was like, wait a minute, I got my first reorder at Christmas time. And I was like, this is cool. So that was 2012. Added realtor program. Fast forward to 2014, I spent 2 years really growing the real estate side of things in Memphis and really making a name for Cutco in that area. But I was traveling to Nashville, Mississippi, North Alabama, Little Rock. So we're talking like a 3-4 hour radius of Memphis. And so long story short, other people, the Kristen Staybacks started in Nashville. The Elizabeths started in Memphis or in Mississippi and Alabama. The Stephen Williamses were in Little Rock, and I saw my Memphis territory going like this. And I was like, well, there's plenty of business here in Memphis, but do I want to live it? Do I want to like marry myself to this city forever? And I had no family there. I had no ties there. So I started looking and I said, what's an open territory? And I ended up picking Texas. And I'm so glad I did. I've been here for 10 years.
Wow. So I did not know that you moved to Texas for the realtor program. Wow.
That's it.
Good for
That's
you.
it. I moved to Texas for realtor program. I'm in every Keller Williams office in Dallas, Fort Worth. There's about 27 of them. I've got 2 different KW events coming up in March. I probably shouldn't have signed up for them because I'll be so pregnant. But I already told them, I said, listen, if I go into labor, this is where I'm delivering. So I'm going to bring your 20 agents lunch, but y'all just need to be aware of the plan. They're all like, oh, we can't wait to see you. So I do realtor program here. Pretty consistently. Like I intentionally moved to Texas for realtor program, but the year I moved here in 2014, I also added federal. So it was like I added both of those in the same year, and I never would have expected federal to grow as big as it has for me.
Really?
But
So initially that wasn't like an immediate, oh my gosh, this is going to be what it's really.
I thought it was going to be very like plan D, plan F, like just something, a layer to add. And long story short, ended up becoming the coordinator in Southwest. And I mean, our team last year did 1.5 million.
Oh, it's nuts seeing the numbers you guys put up at the base.
But we did 1.5 million, bro, with like 4.5 people. And I only say 4.5 people because 2 of our guys weren't even trained till the end of the year. So that's a lot of knives for 4.5 people. Like we're selling.
So if you're watching this and she's not counting any of you as a half, she's counting 2 half years. Okay. 2.5 years. That's
last year we did as much as some event programs. And
that's a huge
with
number.
just a small group of people, so I added federal, love that. And the reason I've stayed committed to that and I've hybrid run that with realtor simultaneously, the last 6 years or so is just because my dad's a Marine. And I really do have this like connection with military customers where we talk about that and we connect about that.
Oh, dude, if it's something can be naturally, you don't have to try to be passionate about it.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
And then I'll pop a lot of people's bubbles. Maybe people knew this or not. Everybody hears the State Fair of Texas, the State Fair of Texas. Oh my God. Last year, I sold 111,000, 110,000 at the State Fair of Texas. Okay. My first year, 2014, I moved to Dallas in June of 2014, went to my first events meeting in July of 2014, and they go, "Oh yeah, the State Fair." And I'm like, "State Fair, what's that?" I moved to Dallas not even knowing what that was because I moved for
Right.
military and mainly for realtor. And my first year at the State Fair of Texas, I sold 14,000 total.
I think it's definitely, even for
Total.
me, I'll admit, like before we built an events program, which shout out Wiggy, Benji, Kaiser, Chelsea, been huge parts of that. But before we had one, I definitely looked at those types of LA County Fair, Texas, and it was just like, oh, well, we don't have that. But then you talk to people like Josh Mueller, and it's like, well, the first year we ran it, here's what happened. And it's like,
2014,
okay.
I think we sold 370
I'm
total.
telling you, man, it
It was
blows my mind.
370K with like 3 booths, and how we've grown it and expanded it and elevated the event. I believe that you bring any team in and you just like parachute drop them in and they don't have like the structure and the past experience, they're gonna have to start at the bottom and grow it
100%.
too.
Yeah.
Like we're just brick by brick every year trying to
I think
elevate
it's
the event.
finally getting put out from behind the curtain of like what actually goes into creating an event like that. And
Yeah.
it's not just the year-round stuff, it's the 10 years before that. It's pretty cool to
That's
learn.
why I call it brick by brick. Like it
Yeah.
just takes time. So to break down the layers, the last 3 to 4 years have been pretty consistent. I would say it's like a trifecta hybrid. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 residential / events. Okay.
Mhm.
So that would be state fairs, big key events like the Fort Worth Stock Show Rodeo, or sharpening events,
Okay.
or phone sales. Okay.
Okay.
Past customers. So residential sales. The next one would be realtor. That would be my next pillar. And then the last one would be federal. So it's just been kind of, when I had the $1 million year, it was like 300 and something, each of those categories.
Oh, that's cool. With
Mhm.
anything best practice wise managing multiple layers that you've learned as you kind of evolved those to like.
Yeah, I read.
If you're still tracking and categorizing all your own expenses, I have a message from your CPA. Stop. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are your goals include growing your sales. And one way to do that is delegating admin responsibilities by trading time for money. Rising Stock and MyBooks.pro is exactly what you need. Rising Stock is an all-encompassing financial tracking and coaching program, where MyBooks.pro is exactly what it sounds like. They just do your books. You can choose to just have them track your expenses or take advantage of everything they have to offer. Do your business and your CPA a favor by scheduling a free intro call today at linktree/CSP60. That's linktr.ee/CSP60. That's linktree/CSP60 with a dot before the 2 E's.
I read The One Thing
Mm.
by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. I'm around a lot of Keller Williams stuff, and so they had an entire chapter where they talk about multitasking is a myth. The way I phrase it to people when I like help train them or I coach them, because I've had a few mentors over the years. Have you ever like, Brett, I don't know if you do laundry. Do you do
Oh
laundry or do
yeah,
your wife
dude.
do laundry?
I am. I don't want to brag about my husbandhood, but I do laundry. I do dishes. I change
Yeah,
diapers. Yeah, I'm
that's
in it.
great. I
Yeah.
love it. Roger does laundry too. So have you ever like tried to hang the clothes or fold the towels while you're watching your favorite TV show or favorite movie?
Sure. Yeah.
How do they look
Oh
when you're
man, I
done?
don't even. I didn't even think. I didn't even think that was a question you're gonna ask. I don't even pay attention to how they look. So that's.
Exactly. You don't care because you're more zoned in on your favorite TV show or favorite movie. Now, I don't watch a lot of TV. Roger and I do love movies, so we love to pile up on the couch and like just like immerse in a character in a movie, right? But I'm not going to take the warm laundry and pause the movie, pile it up on the couch, and start folding the towels and then continue my movie. I'm not going to do that. I would rather hear the buzzer go off, go grab the towels, take 5-10 minutes tops, fold the towels, do it well, put them away, and then come back and restart the movie 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
Because the towels are folded better and I'm more immersed into the story of the movie. I'm enjoying my time watching the movie more than I would be if I was folding towels. So my point is, multitasking is a myth. We are better off instead of trying to like juggle lots of plates and creating burnout with adding too many layers or too many programs. We are better off to task switch, not multitask, but they call it task switching in this book. And it just always resonated with me. So what I do is, I'll give you an example. I have booth days at military bases, and I am not sending out blue texts for blue shears while I'm at the military base. Today is a doctor's appointment day, this phone call, and then I've got 3 hours this afternoon where I'm going to send blue texts. So I've got everything divided up into lists. My assistant did it. She did 17 mini lists, and we're blasting out 300 to 400 people every mini list. But I'm not going to send that blue text the day I'm at a big realtor event. I'm not going to send that blue text the day I'm at a military base, even though a military base could be slow, because then I need to call those people. And if I'm on the phone with them, I'm not ready for the person that's walking by my booth that I need to be engaging. So the way that I juggle all of it is I have days specific for realtor, days specific for federal, days specific for the state fair. And I tell my realtors, you will not see me in the field in the month of October unless you want to come to the state fair and see me there. And it's just like they just know, it's just expected. So you just set those proper expectations for yourself. And I do a lot of week switching, like task switching. Like this week, I'm at a federal base. Next week, I'm working from home 5 days and running my sale. The next week, I've got these 2 realtor offices. And then I'm going to have follow-up days, work from home all day, call day. So it's like I do a lot of that where I task switch. And I've had this weird feeling the last 2 years, like maybe some of your top performers get this feeling as well, where they're like, oh my God, I have this huge to-do list and I got to call these 20 people. They're expecting me to call them to place their order or schedule their knife sharpening. You'll get to it when you get to it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why we stress ourselves out so much. We're like, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. You don't have to do anything. Like, you get to do whatever you want to do. So just set proper expectations on yourself and to your customers. And when you call them 2 days later, like, don't tell somebody you're going to call them Monday at 3 o'clock and then not put it in your calendar and call them at 3 o'clock. But like, if they respond to a marketing email and you call them the next day, 24 hours later, why? Like, so it's knives. It's not that serious. Like,
I think there's so much truth in just that mentality. We create a lot of our own anxiety.
we do.
We do.
I've done it. I have done it.
Yeah. Yeah. And for what? Like you said, it's knives. We're coming up on your hard stop for your doctor's appointment. Don't forget, one of those task squishes, have a baby. So one of the weeks you have to commit to that as well. Just don't.
Well, I didn't plan anything realtor wise or event wise in the field for 3.5 months.
Well, hey,
so
there we go.
So my last day in the field is March 9th and the baby's due March 31st. So unless this baby comes early, which is fine because I can get those shifts covered, I'm not adding things to the schedule in March anyway.
Well, I think I speak for the entire CSP community when I say we are so excited for you. And such a unique situation when no one's required to give back, but most of our leaders do. And you're literally in what feels like maybe like the craziest stretch of your life up until this point. I don't know. You're still working shows. You get done with a full day of doctor's appointments. You're in your last trimester of pregnancy. You work at the booth the rest of this week, and you still made time for us. And that's really freaking special. And I appreciate it so much. Sincerely, it means the world to us, Chelsea. So thank you.
Were there any other question? I'm literally parked outside the building.
Oh, we get bonus time.
If you get a bonus, you get a bonus question.
Okay.
And I hard log 5 minutes.
What's something I should have asked you today that would have helped our team?
What is something you should have asked me today that would help your team? Okay. Um, the mindset around work ethic, like what makes you work so hard, right?
Mhm.
People that have come and watched me work, the intentionality and the work ethic are just there. And I get asked a lot, and you didn't ask this, about where does that come from? Like, where does the desire to work hard and have grit and hustle, like where does that come from? I get asked that a lot. So I would say to your team that the most important person that you have to answer to at the end of the day, okay, and I'm talking like human being person, I believe in God, okay, and I'm always going to try to do the right thing and do something that like make God proud, right?
Yep.
I grew up with a Marine father, and I have not daddy issues, but I have some past, of trying to please my earthly father
Mm.
and make the bed good enough, do a good enough job on my chores, bring home good enough grades. And, there was a lot of that of pleasing someone else. But I would challenge and encourage your entire team to remember that the one person that you have to please the most and you have to make happy and you have to be proud of is yourself.
Mhm.
Um, people ask me all the time, where does the hustle come from? Where does the work ethic come from? And for me, I don't plop down in bed at night, wash my face, brush my teeth, whatever, sit down and watch that movie and feel good about when I know I half but did something, when I didn't really do my best. And so I would encourage everyone to just really think about your past years and what you're trying to create this year and let go of the numbers of it and just say, how do you feel at the end of each day? Are you proud of a job well done? Like, do you feel like you put your best foot forward? Do you feel like you were honest with customers? Do you feel like you had integrity? Do you feel like you were intentional about your time and your hours that you were there, maybe away from your kids? For me, it's just about doing your best. And however that falls is okay. I have been number 2 in the Silver Cup race behind Deanna Scortino. I don't know, I've lost count, 6, 7 years now, and nobody cares. And you know what's crazy? I'm bringing it up not because I care, but because to prove a point. I have done my best, and I am okay that my best is number 2 consistently. I'm okay with that. I am perfectly fine with that. I've seen so much growth and so much leveling up over the last 15 years of who I am just as a person, not like as just a sales rep. And I feel like no better time than now, right? To become a mom. I feel like I've learned so much in the last 15 years. So if I can encourage anyone on your team, just the hustle, the work ethic, the grit, the intentionality, the integrity, like, are you doing your best in all of those areas, or are you just doing enough to get
Mm.
by? Um, I would encourage people to do more of that.
Thank you so much for extending to answer my favorite question to ask, which I was so sad I didn't get to ask it. Yeah, I think being able to be comfortable with I don't care what the results are. It's not about that. I don't control that. And I don't need to be codependent on somebody else being proud of me. I can be proud of what I put in. Just feel great about that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Good luck the rest of pregnancy. Can't wait to
6 weeks left.
let's
I can
go.
do this.
Let's go. You got this. You got this. And Chelsea, I just will say, I know you joked about it earlier. You look great. Ain't nobody like, she's definitely pregnant. You look great. You're glowing. You're like literally rounding third. Slide hard. You got this.
Everybody's like, "Oh my God, you got bangs." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know why?" And they're like, "I don't know, new hairstyle, new mom, new life." I'm like, "No, because they won't let you get Botox when you're pregnant." So, but they will let you get bangs. So I got bangs, and then we're gonna nurse this baby for a few months, and then I can go get shot up again. That's
We
right.
almost
I
didn't
said
get
it.
the best nugget of the show until this is important. This is great.
There you go. Make them watch till the end. Make them watch till the end, Brett. Thank you for having me.
All right, gang. We will see you next time on our next episode. Chelsea, thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right, you too, man.
Thanks for listening. And for some of you watching, I want to remind you that all resources from today can be found at linktree/CSP60. That's linktr.ee/CSP60. That's linktree
vectormarketing.com/CSP60 with a dot before the EE. If you want to be a member of our live Zoom audience for one of our upcoming shows, email bwiggins@vectormarketing.com. That's BWIGGINS@vectormarketing.com. If you loved what you heard today, I'd be honored if you followed, subscribed, or even rated us on whatever platform you use to find your 60 minutes of fire. We'll see you next time.